Hello everybody. Today we are going to discuss about a very important part of the biostatistics, and that is Anova. The full form of Anova is analysis of variance. First of all, we have to understand that what is Anova. Anova, or analysis of variance, is a parametric test of hypothesis testing. It is a collection of statistical models. It is an extension of t-test and z-test. Here is the point. It is used to test the significance of the differences of the mean values among more than two sample groups. That means in a research study or in a hypothesis testing, if you have taken the two separate sample groups and you want to study the mean of a dependent variable of those two sample groups, you can be easily do that with the help of the Anova. You can even take more than two sample groups. It is used in the analysis of comparative experiments. That means if you want to compare on the standpoint of a specific variable among the two sample groups, means a group of boy and a group of girl of the same age, and if you want to compare the mean weight in unit kg among this or between these two groups, means a comparative experiments, those you can do with the help of the Anova. Now, Anova was developed by the statistician Ronald Fisher, and up to his name, it's also known as Fisher's Anova. Now, Anova assumes something. What is? Number one, the population distribution is normal. That means the samples that are taken from a particular population, that population distribution is normal. That means they are of the same age, or they are from the same socioeconomic status, something like that. That means the homogeneity of the sample is considered important here. Samples are random and independent. That means from a population, when a sample is chosen as a random basis. No biasness in the sample is there. Now we will understand what are the different advantages of Anova. It gets better information on the variables. That means in the Anova you will see that two different types of variables have been used. One is dependent variable, another one is independent variable. Dependent variable means it is a certain type of variable which is dependent on something, and independent variable means it's that criteria which is not at all dependent on any. For example, if we consider the body weight as a dependent variable, then the consumption of diet is the independent variable. That means you are independent to consume the diet upon which the weight of your body depends. So for that reason, this body weight is the dependent variable and the consumption of the diet is the independent variable. So in Anova, we can get better information about the different types of dependent and independent variables that are involved. Now, capable of handling any experimental setup. In the experimental design, we know that there are different type of experiments can be set up, but for example, it may be a quasi type of experiment, it may be a survey type of experiment, or depending on real data. So whatever the type of experimental setup is, that this Anova is capable of handling that. Means any type of experiment, any type of hypothesis can be well explained with the help of the Anova. Now, it compares the effects with the experimental error. Means when it compares the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable, it considers the experimental errors also. It looks at interactions between the variables. That means in some cases, if we want to study say more than one independent variable on a fixed dependent variable, for example, if we consider the body weight as a dependent variable and the diet as an independent variable, then environmental issues as an independent variable, then we can also study with the help of the Anova that whether this environmental status and the consumption of the diet have any interrelation between each other. Means we can also analyze the individual relationship between the variables. So there are three types of ANOVA: one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, and three-way ANOVA. First of all, let's discuss about the one-way ANOVA. In statistics, one-way ANOVA is a technique that can be used to compare the means of two or more samples. Again, that previous one, you can take two sample group, or you can take more than two sample groups. Now, for the example, in a population, two sample groups have been chosen. Okay, for example, two variables are taken, one dependent variable and one independent variable. Just now I have told that what is the dependent variable and what is the independent variable. The dependent variable is dependent on the independent variable, but the independent variable is never dependent on the dependent variable. So, dependent variable is BMI, body mass index. If we fix it as a dependent variable in the two separate sample groups, and the independent variable is SES, that is the socio-economic status. It is the independent variable. The effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable in the two groups is the outcome. That means according to the socio-economic status, how the body mass index is changing in the two separate sample groups can be done by one-way ANOVA. In this case, two variables are used. One is dependent variable, another one is independent variable, and the ultimate outcome of the mean values is the interest. In case of the two-way ANOVA, it is the extension of the one-way ANOVA. Now, why it is called the extension of the one-way ANOVA? Because in the one-way ANOVA, we took only one independent variable. But in this case, that examines the influence of the two different categorical independent variable on a continuous dependent variable. That means the dependent variable is fixed here. But you can add extra independent variable, one more independent variable along with the already existing independent variable. Let us see the example. In a population, two sample groups have been chosen. Three variables are taken, one dependent variable which is fixed and the two independent variables. Now the dependent variable is BMI, body mass index, which is also discussed in the previous example of the one-way ANOVA. Now the independent variables are one already chosen, that is SES, socioeconomic status, and now a second independent variable has been included, which is age. Now we are using in the two-way ANOVA two different categorical independent variables. One already chosen, socioeconomic status, another one is age. The effect of the independent variables on the dependent variable is the outcome. That means how the socioeconomic status and the age alters the dependent variable, that is the body mass index, that we can know by using the two-way ANOVA. Let us consider the third one, that is the three-way ANOVA. A three-way ANOVA test which of three separate variables have an effect on an outcome and on how the variables effects interact with one another. It is sometimes called three-factor ANOVA because the three different factors have been included here. Let's see the example. In a population, two sample groups have been chosen, just like the one-way ANOVA and the two-way ANOVA. Four variables are taken. Remember, four variables are taken. One dependent variable which is fixed and three independent variables. Now, dependent variable is BMI, which is also taken in case of the one-way ANOVA and the two-way ANOVA. That is the body mass index. And the independent variables are SES, already taken in the one-way ANOVA, age already included in the two-way ANOVA, and the third one is including here, that is the diet. The effect of the independent variables on the dependent variable is the outcome. That means how the dependent variable, that is the body mass index, is altered under the influence of socioeconomic status, age and diet in the two sample groups or more than two sample groups. So this is the three-way ANOVA. So the main difference between the 1, the 2 and the three-way ANOVA is that the increment of the independent variable. In the one-way ANOVA, we have took only the two variables. One is dependent variable, another one is independent variable, if you can recall. In case of the two-way ANOVA, we have included another independent variable, and in case of the three-way ANOVA, we have included another independent variable. So in case of the last one, we have included the three independent variables, and we can also discuss, or we can also analyze if there is any interrelationship among these three separate independent variables. In this case, that is the socioeconomic status, age and diet, whether these three have any interrelationship, that also can be analyzed with the help of the three-way ANOVA. So I have included some books for your ready reference. If you want to know more about the ANOVA, you can go through these books. Now friends, you can test yourself. After observing the video very carefully, you can test yourself by answering this few slight questions, which will be very easy for you to test yourself that whether you have understood ANOVA in a proper way. So friends, thank you very much for your patient listening. I think regarding the ANOVA, you have no doubts. Still you have any doubt, please feel free to comment in the comment box. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. It will help you to get more educational videos like that, which will help in your educational career. So long, have a nice day.